Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 12-team half PPR mock draft from the 12th overall spot. Inside of today's video, I'll be going in-depth into my thought process as I make every single pick inside of this draft, as well as discussing some of the picks going on around me. There are going to be some picks in this draft that I do end up liking, as well as some picks that I don't end up liking at all, and I think it is important to talk about both of them. But before we could get on into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into this 12-team half PPR mock draft from the 12th overall spot. So the roster settings of today's video for this mock draft are going to be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, flex, kicker, defense, and 6 bench spots. So without further ado, let's get into the draft. So the draft here is going to begin with Christian McCaffrey, followed by Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Travis Kelce, and Joe Mixon, and now we are up at the 1.12. Very interesting to see not a single wide receiver selected in the top 6 picks of this draft. Now, is that impossible to happen in your redraft league? Definitely not, because a lot of people are very heavy into drafting running backs, because there is definitely a fall off at the running back position that comes around the 3rd round where things start to get really risky at running back. So I get why people like to load up on running backs in this range. Personally, I would definitely rather have Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson ahead of guys like Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, and Derrick Henry. Now, it is definitely all up to preference for you, though, so this is not all that weird of a start to the draft. At the 101, we see Christian McCaffrey. Again, I know some people are going to be nervous because Christian McCaffrey keeps getting banged up, but at the end of the day, if this guy stays healthy, he could be the #1 running back in all of fantasy football, and he could do that by a wide margin. So we're up here at the 1.12. Since Travis Kelce is off the board, I think it's a little bit crazy to go with Mark Andrews here at the 1.12 or the 201, so we're going to stay away from tight end, and we're also not going to be drafting a quarterback in the first 2 rounds because I think that really hurts your team. Now, can you draft a quarterback in the first 2 rounds and win your league? Definitely. You could also probably draft a kicker in the first round and still somehow miraculously win your league, but that is going to take a lot of effort to be able to overcome something like that. In my opinion, you are putting yourself at a big disadvantage taking a quarterback early on in the draft. Looking at running backs, we have DeAndre Swift, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley. At wide receiver, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel. So here I think we're going to go with a very balanced approach and go with a wide receiver as well as a running back. First, we're going to go with my favorite wide receiver available, and that is Devontae Adams, wide receiver now of the Las Vegas Raiders. I understand some people are a little bit nervous about the move from Green Bay to Las Vegas because he is going from quarterback Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr, but at the end of the day, I think Derek Carr is perfectly fine. Sure, is he as good as Aaron Rodgers? Of course not, but all you got to do is throw the ball somewhat remotely near Devontae Adams, and he can catch the ball. He's also a humongous red zone threat for this team, and I don't believe that they would have traded all those picks and gave Devontae Adams such a fat contract if they didn't plan to give this guy the ball a lot. So I love Devontae Adams at the 1.12, and then we're going to go with a running back. I think DeAndre Swift, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley are all acceptable picks here. We're going to go with DeAndre Swift, running back of the Detroit Lions. I've talked about DeAndre Swift a lot this offseason. He is one of my favorite running backs this year. He is one of the only running backs, in my opinion, in the National Football League that has the upside of getting 1,000 rushing yards as well as 1,000 receiving yards, and in a half PPR format, that is so vital because you don't get to 1,000 receiving yards without catching a zillion passes. This is going to be an offense that I believe takes a step up in 2022. I really like this Detroit Lions offense, and I'm excited about DeAndre Swift. After Swift, we see Alvin Kamara, followed by Saquon Barkley, Stephon Diggs, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, CeeDee Lamb, Aaron Jones, Deebo Samuel, Mark Andrews, Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, and Javonte Williams to close out the 2nd round. The 3rd round opens with Mike Evans, Ezekiel Elliott, Keenan Allen, Leonard Fournette, Kyle Pitts, Pat Mahomes, T. Higgins, A.J. Brown, Michael Pittman Jr., Justin Herbert the Pervert, and James Conner. So some interesting picks in between our last pick and us being up at the 3.12 12, I definitely wanted to talk real quick about one of these picks, and that's Deebo Samuel. It seems like Deebo Samuel is one of the more polarizing players in fantasy football right now. Now, it seems like most fantasy analysts, including myself, are very sold in on the fact that Trey Lance is going to be very good for fantasy football because even if he struggles in passing, he could just rush the ball so effectively that basically his failure to pass the ball, if that is the case, I think he's going to be perfectly fine at passing the football. Okay, I think he's going to be definitely fine, and I think he's going to succeed. But say he has a bad game, I think the fact that he's so much rushing upside will make up for that. So some people are a little bit worried about Deebo Samuel. I think Deebo is going to be just fine. I'm not too sure, though, if he is going to be seeing as many carries as he did last year, and that could immensely lower his value. He is still a guy that I like to take at the end of the second round, so the 208, I think, is a perfectly acceptable pick for him. He is just the player I wanted to talk about out of this grouping. Now we are up here at the 3.12. Looking at the running back position, we have Cam Akers, David Montgomery, Breece Hall, and Travis Etienne. Looking at wide receivers, Wiki DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams, Jalen Waddle Waddle, DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy. In the third round, I'm perfectly acceptable taking DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle, Mike Williams, basically any of these guys besides DK Metcalf. So since we normally would go with DJ Moore or Deontay Johnson in this spot, we will go with F1 Scary Terry McLaurin. Now, Terry McLaurin definitely gets a quarterback upgrade compared to last year, but how big of a quarterback upgrade is it? I understand that Carson Wentz isn't very good. I've been making fun of Carson Wentz for years because I don't believe that he is that good of a quarterback, but at the end of the day, it is definitely an upgrade over Ryan Fitzpatrick, Taylor Heineke, any of the quarterbacks that Terry McLaurin has had in the past. Terry McLaurin has a crazy list, a laundry list of quarterbacks that he's played football with since he got into the NFL, and I think Terry McLaurin is going to have a pretty solid year this year with the Washington Commanders. So we're back up on the board here. I think we can double dip on the wide receiver position here and just get on going out of here with our two starting wide receivers and our flex. I think that's kind of our best play here. You could go running back. I do like Cam Akers, but I really am worried that maybe Darrell Henderson is going to be splitting heavily with Cam Akers, and that is really going to devalue Cam Akers in fantasy football. Now, I could be completely wrong about that because if Cam Akers is the lead back on the LA Rams, this guy is going to dominate in fantasy football. So I would suggest that if you have a take similar to mine where it's like, hey, I like Darrell Henderson, I like the value you can get him late in drafts, but I think it is possible that Cam Akers could be the workhorse, that if you're playing in 10 leagues, then maybe you should be taking Cam Akers in one of those leagues because you could be wrong, and that's what we are going to do in this scenario. Again, normally, I think the safest bet here is to just go with one of these wide receivers, but here we will go with Cam Akers. Again, I do believe he's a little bit risky, but the upside of Cam Akers is really big. He is pretty talented in terms of pass catching as well, and the team did heavily rely on him in that playoff run, even though he was coming off of that torn Achilles. After Cam Akers, we see George Kittle, Timbers, Breece Hall, David Montgomery, DJ Moore, Travis Etienne, Darren Waller, Deontay Johnson, Lamar Jackson, DK Metcalf, Mike Williams, Jalen Waddle, Cortland Sutton, Elijah Mitchell, Josh Jacobs, Antonio Gibson, Jerry Jeudy, J.K. Dobbins, Hollywood Brown, Allen Robinson, Kyler Murray, Amari Cooper, and Joe Shiesty. So team one here, I wish you could click on them and it would kind of just dim everyone else like you could if we clicked on our team, say. But team one, McCaffrey, Javonte Williams, Mike Evans, Jalen Waddle, Cortland Sutton. If I could get this start to a draft, I would probably have jizzed my pants like that Lonely Island song if I was able to get this team from the #1 overall spot. Amazing value on Waddle and Sutton at the 4-5 turn with Mike Evans. Man, that team looks fantastic. So our team so far, we got Devontae Adams, DeAndre Swift, Terry McLaurin, and Cam Akers. So we're back up on the board here. I don't love the running backs going in this range, so we're probably going to double tap on wide receiver unless we want to get a quarterback or a tight end. I really do like Jalen Hurts, and while I did talk about how I want to make sure that I avoid a quarterback early on because I think that it hurts my team, once we get to the 5th round, I am open to taking a quarterback. I think that Jalen Hurts could easily finish this year as the #1 quarterback in fantasy football. He has a lot of that upside that I talked about with Trey Lance, where even if Jalen Hurts isn't all that great of a passer, he is still going to be able to make up for that with the insane amount of rushing upside that he has game in and game out. I think it's perfectly fine to instead taking Jalen Hurts, wait on Trey Lance, but you never know. We could get sniped on Trey Lance. A lot of these redraft leagues, people start to panic aggressively. Once these quarterbacks are gone, they start to take guys like Tom Brady, Dak Prescott ahead of where I think they should be going because people are like, oh shit, I'm going to miss out on the quarterback that I want. So I think that could end up happening and we may end up missing out on Trey Lance. So here, I'm going to go ahead and go with Jalen Hurts, who I think is a steal inside of the early 6th round, basically where we got him, right? The 5.12, the end of the 5th round, the early 6th round. I would definitely have him over Joe Burrow, Mr. Joe Shiesty. So we're back up on the board here, going to go with a wide receiver. Now, the biggest issue here is that we have to kind of have a thought process on, do we want to be safe or do we want to go a little bit risky? Michael Thomas and Chris Godwin are certainly kind of risky right now because they are both banged up. Chris Godwin might be actually good to go for week 1, but again, he is still banged up. Brandon Cooks is as safe as it gets. This guy's like wrapping 3 fucking condoms around your fantasy football team, and then you go into the regular season, and I'm not saying that Brandon Cooks sucks or something, right? Brandon Cooks is incredibly good, but I just don't think he has the same upside as a guy like Chris Godwin or Michael Thomas. And in fantasy football, I am hunting for the most upside possible, and if Chris Godwin misses the first couple of games, it is what it is. That's fine with me. I can just play a different player in the flex spot until Chris Godwin returns. I believe when Chris Godwin returns, even with Julio, Russell Gage, Mike Evans all there, I still think Godwin has top 5 upside at the wide receiver position. This is an offense that loves to throw the football. After Chris Godwin, we see Adam Thielen, Miles Sanders, A.J. Dillon, Dalton Schultz, T.J. Hawkinson, Michael Thomas, C.H., Juju Smith-Schuster, Corvette, Brandon Cooks, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Damian Harris. The 7th round opens with Darnell, here comes the Mooney, Gabe Davis, Drake London, DeAndre Hopkins, Russell Wilson, Devontae Smith, Kenneth Walker, Cordero Patterson, Dallas Goedert, Rashad Master-Bateman, and Hunter Renfrow. It's interesting how Sleeper has updated the pictures for some players, right? Like, we have a Drake London picture now, but Kenneth Walker just got cucked out of getting a picture. You hate to see that. It's probably because Sleeper knows he's going to be a bum this year, just like I think, you know? All right, so some picks to talk about here. Taking Hawkinson right after Schultz, to me, is an insane person move. I think after Schultz, there's a pretty clear drop-off at the tight end position, so I definitely don't want to be taking Hawkinson one pick after someone takes Dalton Schultz, because I really think Dalton Schultz could have an excellent year yet again. This is going to be an offense that really could be one of the better offenses in all of the National Football League. So we're up here at the 7.12. There are some running backs that I like. I think we have kind of escaped the running back dead zone almost here inside of the 7th round. So I'm fine taking some more running backs. I'm pretty confident in DeAndre Swift, but again, I'm still kind of up in the air on Cam Akers. So I want to make sure that I have some nice insurance for him. The tight end position is all right, but again, I don't really want to reach on any of these guys. I like Ertz, I like Freiermuth, I like Dawson Knox one time, if you are with me, but again, they don't move the needle. They don't make me super excited to draft them. So we're going to go with a running back and wide receiver combo here. I keep talking about Devin Singletary. People keep telling me that I'm fucking banana lands for liking Devin Singletary, and I will continue to talk him up because I genuinely believe he is a running back that is being hella underrated right now, and I think that he is going to have a lot of upside this year. I also like Chase Edmonds a ton, and Rashad Penny. This time we will go with Rashad Penny. People also don't give Penny enough credit for what he did at the end of the last year. Now, I understand that this guy is about as injury prone as it gets, right? The guy always gets banged up, but if he could stay healthy, man, oh man, I really do believe that he is going to keep the #1 running back role in Seattle, and he is going to be dominant. I understand that the Seattle Seahawks offense, now Drew Lock looked so dog shit that they decided that Geno Smith is going to be the starter week 1. Geno Smith also dog shit. The team's going to be terrible, but at the end of the day, even on bad teams, running backs can still succeed. So here we can go with another running back, or we could go wide receiver. I feel as though we probably want to have our flex be a wide receiver. Most weeks in a half PPR or full PPR format. This video is a half PPR mock draft, so we are going to go with a wide receiver here. Now, I understand Deebo Samuel is the clear #1 wide receiver in this offense, and this is a run-heavy team, but Brandon Ayuk, when he escaped the doghouse last year, was extremely good, and it seems like him and Trey Lance have a great connection from what I've seen out of training camp, so I'm pretty excited to see what Brandon Ayuk does in 2022, and I think he's a perfectly acceptable pick inside the 8th round. After Brandon Ayuk, we see Kareem Hunt, Tony Pollard, Chase Edmonds, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, Dickey, Dak Prescott, Devin Singletary, Chris Olave, Elijah Moore. Then we see Zach Ertz, Treylon Burks, and Allen Lazard. The 9th opens with my boy, Damian Pierce, Dawson Knox, Ramondre Stevenson, James Cook, Chase Claypool, Aaron Rodgers, who was just on the Joe Rogan show, Joe Rogan Experience, whatever that thing's called, and said that he's played some football games before on the Percocets, so you love to see that. After Rodgers, we see Roberto Woods, Bobby Trees, Tyler Lockett, Sky with 2 Ys more, Trey Lance, and Pat Freiermuth. Something to discuss real quick. We took a quarterback in the 5th round. I think you are handicapping your team by putting some type of insurance policy on your roster on Jalen Hurts. You pulled the trigger in the 5th round. You drafted a quarterback that you believe could be the #1 quarterback. So what is the point in backing him up? What's the point in drafting Justin Fields, who you are never going to fucking play except for the 1 week when Jalen Hurts is on bye? There is no need to be drafting a 2nd quarterback. You can just pick up the 2nd quarterback when Jalen Hurts is on bye week 7, cut some sorry motherfucker off your roster. Obviously, I like all these players right now. Things aren't going to work out. I'm not going to be right on 100% of these players. So some players are going to be cut. There's going to be players that are going in and out of my roster because I traded people away. Your roster is going to look wildly different in week 7 than it does in week #1 right after your draft. So just handcuffing Jalen Hurts with another quarterback. Now, I don't mean a handcuff like with running backs. I'm not going to draft fucking Gardner Minshew to be the insurance policy of Jalen Hurts. But I think taking another quarterback is a really stupid idea, in my opinion, when you draft a guy so early. Now, if we were to have waited in the draft, say round 12, I'm like, oh shit, I haven't taken a quarterback. Let's go Mac Jones and Baker Mayfield. For an example, I don't think I would ever do that. But for the example, then sure, I understand drafting 2 because they are both more risky. But when you draft Jalen Hurts that early, or any of these quarterbacks early, you should be very sure they're going to be good, and you should just draft 1. So we went ahead and got another wide receiver in Brandon Ayuk, and I think I'm going to hit the wide receiver button yet again here and go with an upside pick of Kadarius Toney, wide receiver of the New York Football Giants. Now, as I'm recording this video, the Giants are playing a preseason game up against the Jets, and Kenny Golladay legitimately looks like he does not give a single fuck about football. This dude got his bag. He got the big check. They backed up the Brinks truck, gave him one of those lottery winning checks, and now he just doesn't seem to care about football. He's running in fucking slow motion out there. I think Kadarius Toney is probably clearly the #1 receiver on this team at this point. Before we get on into the next pick of this draft at the 10.01, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our sponsor of today's video. They've been on the screen this whole time, Underdog Fantasy, which is the best place to play fantasy football this summer. The Best Ball Mania 3 tournament has $10 million in total prize money, $2 million to first place. All you got to do is draft your team, and that's it. You don't got to worry about waivers, trades, or in-season management. Underdog will automatically give you the highest score at the end of the week with the players that you drafted. Last year's Best Ball Mania champion drafted in June, so there's no need to wait. A lot of people wait until Labor Day weekend to draft their fantasy football squad. No need to wait for Best Ball on Underdog Fantasy. You can draft your team right now. All you got to do is click on the link in the video description down below and use promo code Stokastic to get a first match deposit bonus of up to $100 with Underdog, and you'll receive our Best Ball draft kit for 100% free. That's a combined $170 of value with a first-time deposit of $100. So let's get back on into the video here, and we definitely need another running back. We're probably in the range where we also should be drafting our tight end as well. I do really like Cole Kmet, but I'm fine just waiting on a tight end, if I'm being honest with you, and securing a running back that I like a decent amount here. DeAndre Swift by 6, Cam Akers by 7, and Rashad Penny by number 11. Now, a lot of people are hopping off ship with Melvin Gordon. They starting to think, oh, Javonte Williams is clearly the #1 running back on the team. I agree, he's clearly the #1 running back, but is it going to be a 70-30 split in favor of Javonte Williams? Could it be 60-40? And could Melvin Gordon potentially be a great bye-week play for your team? And could Melvin Gordon, if Javonte Williams was to go down, now I don't root for injuries, I'm not saying that. I hope Javonte Williams is fully healthy. But if he was to get hurt, wouldn't Melvin Gordon elevate himself to potentially be a top 5 running back in fantasy football in Javonte Williams' absence? I believe so. I love Melvin Gordon this year. I'll keep drafting him in the fucking 10th round. I'll keep buying the dip on Melvin Gordon. I think he could still have a great season, though, even if Javonte Williams is healthy. After Melvin Gordon, we see Christian Kirk, followed by Garrett Wilson, Matthew Stafford, MVS, Mike Licky, Almagasicki, Tyler, yeah, Boyd, Michael Carter, James Robinson, Alexander Madison, Derek Carr. The Bills defense, don't be taking the defense until the end of the draft. Naheem Hines, Darrell Henderson, 49ers defense, Julio Jones, Cole Kmet, George Pickens, Justin Tucker the fucker, Isaiah Spiller, Rams defense, Ravens defense, and Evan McPherson. You're hurting your team drafting kickers and defenses this early. I understand Justin Tucker and Evan McPherson are amazing. fully understand that, but I don't think that you need to be drafting these kickers and defenses this early. So looking at tight end here, my boy Cole Kmet is gone. Seems like Albert O is going to be the #1 tight end on the Denver Broncos offense. A little bit of those worries from earlier on in preseason have seemed to have went away. So I want to go ahead and take a shot on Albert O here, hitching ourselves to what should be one of the better offenses in the AFC in the Denver Broncos now with Russell Wilson. I'm also fine drafting 2 players on the same team when we drafted them this late in the draft, so I'm fine getting Albert O here. If you're not as comfortable with Albert O, you can honestly draft 2 tight ends here, which I think is perfectly acceptable because we didn't take them early, right? If we're taking a guy like, say, Darren Waller in the 4th round or Kyle Pitts in the 3rd round, then there's no need to take a backup tight end, and that's exactly what Team 5 did, of course. So here we are going to utilize that double tight end strategy here. What bye does Albert O have? Bye number 9. So we want to select, if we're taking 2 tight ends, they need to have 2 different bye weeks. So I'm going to go ahead here and go with another tight end that I like a decent amount. I like Irv Smith. David Njoku, can't be drafting him because he is the same bye week. Seems like David Njoku is going to have a really good role in this Browns offense. But again, same bye weeks, we can't take him. We go with Hunter Henry. Robert Tonyan's probably my favorite pick, but I think he'll come back to us to the 13th round. So we're going to go ahead and wait here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 running backs. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers. So we're going to need another wide receiver or running back. Since I'm pretty comfortable with the running backs that we have, I think we don't have to take another one. If you're not as confident, then maybe you don't want to take a second tight end or you don't want to take a receiver and you can take a running back instead. But here, we are going to go wide receiver. Jarvis Landry seems to have a really nice connection with Mr. Jameis Winston right now. Now, there's also reason to believe if Michael Thomas is healthy week 1, maybe Jarvis is irrelevant, but right now I think Jarvis Landry is a pretty solid pick deep on in the draft, especially in half PPR and full PPR leagues, because we know Jarvis Landry could potentially be a target monster in this offense. I'm not going to name off the kickers or the defenses because in reality, there's really no need to do that. So at the 12:06, we see Kirk Cousins, we see Brian Robinson, Russell Gage, Kenneth Gainwell, Rashad White, Michael Gallup, Christian Watson, Tyler Algier, Devontae Parker, my boy Tua Tagovailoa, Hunter Henry, Rondale Moore, and Khalil Herbert. So we're back up on the board here. We are going to go with that second tight end and get my boy Robert Tonyan. Seems like he's going to be good to go for week 1. Based on what I've read right now, again, is it a lock? No, but he should be good for week 1 based upon what I have read. Here now we're going kicker and defense. I think you should be drafting the defense first. You want to be drafting a defense playing a not-so-hot offense in week number 1. So we're going to go with the Broncos going up against the bum-ass Geno Smith-led Seattle Seahawks that we just talked about. And I wouldn't even be surprised if we even see Drew Lock in that game if Geno Smith struggles early on. After the Denver defense, we see Ronald Jones, Jahan Dotson, Isaiah Pacheco, Romeo Dubes, Jacoby Myers, Marlon Mack, Jameson Williams, Justin Fields, David Njoku, my old bitch lame but my young Hoku, Jamal Williams, Zamir White, Tyler Higbee, Kenny Galladay, Irv Smith, and Isaiah McKenzie. Here, we are going to go ahead and select our kicker, and we're just going to go with Robbie Gould. I think any of those kickers would have been perfectly fine in my opinion. So now, let's go ahead and make me do the electric slide so that we can recap our team real quick. So, our roster is comprised of our first round pick Devontae Adams, followed by DeAndre Swift, F1 Scary, Terry McLaurin, Cam Akers, Jalen Hurts, Chris Godwin, Rashad Penny, Brandon Ayuk, Kadarius Toney, Melvin Gordon, Albert O, Jarvis Landry, Robert Tonyan, Denver Broncos defense, and Robbie Gould. Again, if you are nervous about the running backs we have since we only have 4, you definitely could have taken another running back instead of Jarvis Landry because our wide receiver core is pretty solid. Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys thought about today's draft. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know any picks you definitely would have wanted to change in this draft. I really appreciate talking to you guys in the comments. It is always a fun time. Please make sure you check out Underdog Fantasy right down below me. Promo code Stokastic. I love you guys all. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day, and good luck drafting because it's basically draft season. People are drafting probably today as I'm recording this video, and next week is the big draft weekend. I love you guys all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day, and as always, good boy!